Ready.
Hello, my name is Robert Jones, and I am going to be teaching a multitude or a series of lessons in computers, and I hope you'll join me on this journey of computer learning. There will be a series of 14 lessons in the next year. So this is the start of a year-long monthly set of lessons, if you will. If please feel free to stick around if you have any questions. These videos, I should say, these lessons will be recorded on video and they will be posted on YouTube. And that will just be to your convenience. So if you would like to learn more, then you can always just go back and rewatch the same video again and again. So let's go ahead and get started. Lesson 1 is going to be computers, the basic gist of computers. In this lesson, I will introduce you to the basics of information technology and what IT or information technology is. And hopefully this will open up some doors for you. It will expand your knowledge and answer whatever questions might be burning in your mind. Hopefully those questions don't burn a hole in your mind before you can ask them. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, let's go ahead and get started. So, as I said, this is lesson 1, computers. Okay, so common question, what exactly is a computer? Before I go into defining it, what answers do you guys have? You, my audience, and you who are online, or if you're watching this video, feel free to write down any questions and post them in the chat, in the YouTube video. Any questions you guys have, or any possible answers to this? Go ahead.
Okay, what if you're new to everything and you're still trying to learn, but you're getting frustrated with it?
Well,
How do you actually, I know there's basic things, but some people like me that have a hard time learning. Like, that they see it different than what other people see it. How would you actually get in there and actually learn the first common things so you're not messing up everything and you feel like you're getting frustrated with it?
so that's a good question. So the question here is, what if you get frustrated, or you're constantly, or just getting frustrated a few times with every computer, or with every use of a computer? Is that right?
Yeah, cause like I
Or
have
any
worse
use, I
luck
should say.
with like a computer, my phone, anything. I actually delete it, I can't go back to it, or I'm new at filling out, how you have to do everything online for your doctors or something like that. And it's hard to get your username, or you forget your username or something like that to get back into where you were at without getting too frustrated with it, and you're new at the computer.
Right. Well, we that is something we'll address throughout this course. But as a basic answer, that is something that every user is going to run into. Everyone's going to have frustrations. Everyone's going to have questions. But when it comes to getting back into your computer after being locked out, that's definitely something we can talk about as this course continues. But any questions about, or anyone else have a definition for what the word computer means? By now, I'm sure it's pretty basic.
It's
right?
just like where you keep all your
You use one every day, right?
We use it, you use it for your files, you use it for doctors, you use it for your pictures, you use it for just about anything out there right now. You get it
Right.
used for information that you're actually looking for.
Right. Anybody? Yeah? Anyone else? Shetty?
If you're trying to say something on your computer and you want to download it to a flash drive, how do you do that?
That's another thing we can talk about. But do you have anything you'd like to talk about as far as defining a computer? What's your definition of a computer?
If you have something on your computer, you wanna save it, and you wanna put it on a flash drive and everything, so you don't lose it, and then next minute later you wanna go back, and it's not there, you do.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm sure all of us are gonna have I'm sure all of you guys are gonna have questions of your own about computer issues. Again, that is something we discuss later down the road. But what I'm trying to get at here is how do you define what a computer is? What is it to you? Not necessarily with a problem that you're having with a computer, but what is your definition of a computer? Just your description. Go ahead.
Watching things on it, like YouTube, Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus.
Okay, so a computer can be used for media enjoyment. As Chetty mentioned, they can be used for storage as a storage device.
I think a computer is a way to take a portable device that you can take with you and do things that we couldn't do, 10, 15 years ago. You know, you can write a letter, watch a program, stuff like that.
Right. Okay. So a computer can be used for media, storage, used as a storage device. It can be used for programs. Plenty of extra.
Adding to what she just said, you can use a computer for writing letters, doing school homework, or anything like that, or even do art projects, because there's plenty of art programs with computers that you can expand your knowledge of art.
Okay, so computers can be educational.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, over here.
Oh. Go ahead.
I mean, a computer, basically, back then when we didn't have computers, you know, this is what it means to me, that it's become our way of life. You know, back then, it was communication, it was, you were writing things, you were learning homework. And today, this is the way we know technology. It's a way of everything that we're doing, you know, like pictures, social media, for people to watch us, you know, to see our story in life. It's not that a computer is everything that everyone is talking about in class. Back then, we all knew what communication was, but today, this is a way of communication. This is the way that we live our futures in. I mean, that's basically what a computer means to me. It's not like it's a personal thing, you know, that you can store memory, you can store storage on, you can store data or media, you know. It's a way that we all have to learn now.
Okay, so computers are their livelihood, is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
it's people's livelihood. It's not that, you know, that you're seeing the world, you're not actually expressing yourself, you're not experiencing the same things as we're staring hours and hours on a computer and not thinking that we're learning something, because we're not. If we go to a library, if we learn from our generations, then we'll see what it really means. But this is a way of our lives now.
Sure, sure. Thank you, excellent.
You can't actually learn on a computer, because if.
I'm sorry, did you say you can
You
or
can
can't?
learn on a computer.
Oh,
Cause I was trying to, I already knew how to play Virtua, but I was just trying to find different songs or whatever that I can play on my computer or on my Virtua, and basically, it doesn't tell you exactly how to play it, but it gives you the notes that you can play. So I said I
you're
wanted to
speaking
play.
of music?
I
Yeah, she's
wanted to
speaking
Old
of-
MacDonald, and I didn't know what the notes were, so I looked it up on the internet, and it showed me the sheet music of the notes I needed to play.
Oh, great. So computers can be used for musical abilities.
or they can be, or say I wanted to learn how to read a certain language, but I didn't remember how. And if you look at, it can tell you, cause it basically, it doesn't tell you exactly how to say it or whatever, but it gives you examples of people saying it.
Sure.
So,
So computers, yeah, they serve a purpose in music, personal events or livelihood, storage. So far I had heard some good ideas. I'm sorry, was there a comment back here?
I can't have them.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The other thing is, nowadays you can use a computer to learn a different language than the language you know. So you can look up, different languages and learn how to speak a different language. If you're traveling somewhere, you can learn that language and be able to speak to the people of that country or even people that you're with.
Right. You actually bring up a very good point. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Clinton Graham. He brought up a very good point. So he's talking to us about learning a language. So a computer in and of itself is, the usage of one is like learning a language. When you use a computer, you learn the language of the computer. You learn how to talk to the computer. And the computer learns how to talk back by supplying you information that you ask for. In the computer industry, we call this input, output. So all of you, I'm sure by now, have heard of input-output system at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of what a computer is. It's an input-output system. What you put into it, it gives back. It was mentioned that computers are a storage device. Yes, they are. That's what they're designed for. They're designed for storing information. That's why they're called a information system. They're also known as just information technology. Did you have a question? Back here in the back?
Not a question, but, an answer to your question.
Go ahead.
A computer is like a box that was built to be able to have,
Like that box?
Like a memory drive.
and like that box that has everything in it that's built that you can, it's almost like it has its own brain, the computer, because when you ask questions, when you put information in it, it's recorded, and then when you ask a question, it answers, and things like that. So it's actually, a computer is a very, very education thing.
Yeah, you brought up a very good point. A computer essentially has its own brain.
And the phone too.
In a
That's good,
computer,
Brain.
in a computer, now that you bring that up, before we continue with the slides, I'm going to show you kind of the basic gist of a computer. Okay, you mentioned the brain of a computer, right? Okay, so behind this fan right here, this is what's called a cooling fan. Behind it is called a heat sink. Okay, the heat sink takes heat away from the processor. The processor is behind here. Each processor is only about that big. It's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And the processor is called the brain of the computer. It takes information that you give it, and then it decodes your language into a language that the computer understands. So the computer can execute your requests. Okay, but it gets hot. This processor gets really hot. Every processor does. Okay, when it's got so much that it has to do, it has a lot to keep up with. So it gets really hot. So that's why we have a cooling fan that takes the heat away and blows it out. Okay, so there you got a processor, and this, in further lessons, I'm sure we'll go into more detail about each computer. Later on, I'll have some I'll have some towers and stuff like that you can take a look at. One of the objectives of this class or this course is to give you some hands-on experience so that you can play around with the computer if that's what you'd like to do. I will bring some of those, and you guys can have a chance to just tinker with them. So you can kind of get a view and a feel of what goes on
What
inside
actually goes inside,
and
right.
how they're built. You have, in each computer, you also have a power supply. Power supply stores the necessary power that you need to keep the computer going. A power supply acts like a distributor in a car. Anyone ever worked on a car? Do you know what a distributor is? Okay, a distributor takes information, like a computer, and relays it, power in other words, to all different parts of the car to tell the car what to do. This, in a way, is like a brain. It converts power from direct current, or DC, to alternating current, or AC. And that's how the whole system is powered. Behind here you see this big green silicone piece. Okay, that's the motherboard. The motherboard is also like the brain. Okay, that's the lifeblood of the computer. Without it, you don't have a computer. If nothing works, there is nothing. So,
It's like the
just-
blood.
yeah, it's like the blood. So, in each motherboard, you have what are called relays, okay? And those relays are like little traces or paths. You can think of them as blood vessels. Our bodies have vessels all throughout our computer, our unit. That's what keeps us alive. Without that blood flowing, we're not alive, we're doing nothing. Same thing with the computer. Without power going throughout it, it can't do anything. You know, and so then you have these these are called modules. You see these little sticks here, they're kind of hidden. These are called random access memory modules, or RAM. Probably heard that before.
That's like,
No, I'm not talking about the sheep that likes to headbutt you. You know, I'm talking about the memory. So that these are important pieces of information. And like I said, later on in this course, I will talk in further detail about these components and what they do. But this is a basic gist of a computer. You have a memory. The computer has to remember what to do. You have a brain. The brain has to be able to think, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do.
The brain has to keep it.
It has to be able to take instructions and execute them. Then it has to remember them. Then it needs the power to do that.
Then it
Okay.
needs to store it through the hard
And
drive.
then you have you can't see it, but there's a device back here called a hard drive. Okay, today we use what's called solid state drives, which means there's just no moving parts. Hard drives used to have little disks inside where it would store information that way. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But you have the long-term memory, that's a hard drive, RAM, which is short-term memory, and then you have the brain, and then you have the lifeblood. Okay, these are just a few simple components of a computer and what makes them work. Okay. So yes, you guys have supplied me with some really good ideas on what a computer is, and you've answered you've provided some really good answers. Okay, I gotta make sure I'm right where I need to be. So, going back to the initial question, what exactly is a computer? So, in technical terms, I'll give you the technical version of what a computer is. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If there's some language here that you don't understand, just feel free to say something. Just say, hey, I'm not sure what that means. Can you please explain that? I'll be happy to do that. So, for now, I'll just go through and we'll just talk through the slides. So, a computer is a programmable device or any device that can be developed into a variety of ways to store information. As I mentioned, we have the hard drive that stores information. Calculate instructions and convert them into code, the processor. typically in binary form, ones or zeros, to be processed in order to be stored or retrieved by a user in a specified location. In layman's terms, it is a storage device, as Chetty and a couple of you have already said. It's a storage device for information which introduces the concept of information technology, which we'll go into. Okay? Now keep in mind, IT is not just, it's not a term that describes smart people. Okay, or just the chosen smart people, where the rest of the people on this planet don't know it. That is not what IT means. That's not what information technology is. Okay? Information technology is something that is used by everybody, whether they know it or not.
And
It
it's
is-
just
it is
like
for
a little
everyone.
phone.
Some people have lots of knowledge, others little knowledge. That's okay.
To compute.
The point is,
Exactly.
information technology is
I
used
know much
by
about it.
everyone, not just the smart people, if that makes any sense. So does everyone know what a computer is?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, you would think that everyone knows what a computer is, but there are some people who have no idea. There are some people who just don't know, because either they don't want to use them or they just don't know about them.
Or wasn't in your generation.
It might not have been in their generation, but
Or
today,
maybe it's not.
computers have been around for a very long time, so most people today know what they are. They just either don't use them or they
Maybe
use
they
them
just
a lot.
don't like them.
Some people hate them, some people just don't like them. Just,
Or they could be like
Attractive.
Indian or something that doesn't have a computer on his computer or
yeah, well,
It can just be also annoying attractive devices that people just don't like that anymore, because it's so AI anymore.
well, and that's applicable with just about every device. This handheld device you call a phone, everyone has one, it's also a computer.
It's just like a
But
little
it
phone.
doesn't-
Some people even don't like these, so they don't use them.
It's like, you can use them so much, but
And then they
not-
drop them like I just did.
Not as good as a regular computer, because you've got a full screen, you can do more on a computer than you can your phone.
Right.
And they work a lot better, it's just like, if you have a phone, and a lot of people do, for business and stuff, or school.
Right.
But, a lot of people like to use tablets and stuff, because
They
it
do.
works better for them.
Right, well, and so Sheila brought up a good point here. Computers aren't just in the form of a tower that sits in your office and just does nothing until you turn it on. No, the computers take on many forms, and we'll get into that. This computer, as you saw, is actually what's called a slimline computer. It's a mid-tower, okay? So there in IT, in technical terms, there's different sizes of computers. There are also the term for that is called form factor. Okay, so this is a slimline mid-tower case, and then you have the bigger towers, which are larger form factors, and then you have small computers, which are smaller form factors. Okay, so there's what's called ATX, BTX, and a couple of different names. Those are just a few examples. ATX is more of a large, BTX is like smaller but still big, and so there's different types of form factors. Hold that thought. So that's there. Like I said, there are different types of computers on the market today, and that are still used today by users. So the question here now is, does everyone know what a computer is? As so we just kind of went over that. That yeah, not everyone knows, but there are a lot of people who do. Most people today are pretty familiar with computers, but they don't know what the real meaning and purpose of them are. And this lesson will briefly explain the general definition of what that box with a light in it that you stare at every day is. So it's not just a box with a fancy set of lighting. It's a lot more than that, as we've discussed here. So, information technology, big words. So perhaps by now you probably want me to explain, right? Okay, yeah, I'll do that. So information technology, or IT, as most have come to know it, is an analogous, or explained in clear perspective, term that is very broad, meaning it, or IT, doesn't refer to just one thing or just computers, although computers are the biggest part of the subject. So information technology refers to multiple things. It refers mostly to how information is stored, used, and implemented. It refers to how we work with it, how we share it. It refers to how it can make us an income. It's a very, very broad subject. Information technology does have some, it has some drawbacks, it has some advantages, but it's a very, very good subject that can end up being a very big lesson. Here are a few examples that relate to IT. Previously, we talked about some of the examples of computers, and a few of you guys actually talked a little. You actually mentioned some of the uses of computers, but you also mentioned how they function too. So let's go into that a little bit. So most of us are familiar with the internet. The internet refers to all the foundational elements that keep it going. Today, especially, without the internet, information technology doesn't really do a whole lot because it doesn't allow us to communicate with each other from a distance. That is the nice thing about the internet. We can work one with one, or one with one, or one with another, or in a group using the internet from where we're at. So when you send an email communication, or when you send information like pictures, you're working as a network. That network allows, so it opens up so many more doors as if the internet didn't exist, for instance. You wouldn't have a lot of what we have today. You would just have to work on your own. You would have to call and say, hey, I've got this information, is this correct? Something like that. Say, I've got I've got some pictures to send you. How can I get them to you? Then we'd be back to the way things were, where we'd have to mail computers to people, snail mail, right? Yeah, so that took a long time. But the nice thing about the internet is it opened up so many doors. We send pictures and people get them right then and there. You have them in under 5 minutes. You know, we send emails where we have information that can be communicated in a message with those pictures or a video. The internet is a big part of information technology. Without it, there's many things that we can't do, like making your business run. It'd be difficult to make your business run if you have one. Because you need to be able to talk to your clients, right? You need to talk to the people that want to buy your product. You want to talk to the people that work with you.
They really want to know.
Without the internet, we don't have that advantage quite in the way that we do today. Okay, so the internet makes it possible. It makes a lot of things possible. Okay, software, a collection of programs or programming that serve as instruction sets that tell your computer what to do. software, without it, you're, as mentioned, as I sort of alluded to before, you can't make this machine work without it, okay? So, who here can give me a brief definition of, aside from this, what you see here, what does software do? In your mind, what does software do?
It receives the information you're giving it. It's processing it like our brain, you know, so you're asking a question and it's giving us answers. And
Well, that's a computer. The computer does that.
So that we just put all our information,
But-
our data into it, you know, and it
Right.
just-
Well, the computer does that, but the software itself, what does the software do? Tell the computer to do?
It kind of shuts it down and tries to memorize everything it's supposed to be.
Okay. I think you're onto something here. Any other ideas?
It tells us
No? No ideas? You don't have any ideas?
What?
How
Sorry.
it functions properly?
Am I boring you guys?
Very technical,
So,
but it's all good.
yes, it is. It is very technical. So, Sheila, you're
It's
onto
like
it.
running the
So-
program. kind of.
Software is like you mentioned, it's the instruction set that tells the computer what to do. Okay? That's why we have programs.
It's like the
Software tells-
mother.
Just one second.
It's
Software,
like the mother.
it's like that. It is like that. But software is the set of instructions or the rule book, if you will, that tells all these components, do this or do that. Software tells the memory how to store information. It tells the hard drive, okay, store all these programs and do them in this particular manner.
It's
Um,
like the mother and like the boss.
It is, in a way, it is. Software is,
The program.
you could think of it this way. Your body is the hardware, and your spirit is the software. Without your spirit, your body can't do anything. It's useless,
And your brain.
okay? Without your brain,
It's
your body can't do anything.
That's
So,
it's like the brain.
your spirit and your body together are the hardware and the software. Does that make sense? And yeah, you have hardware and you have software. Computers are the same way. Just 1 second. Computers are the same way. You have the software is the spirit
Yeah.
that runs the body. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then you have the brain that tells everything else what to do. Okay. Sorry, did you have a question?
I would say it tells us what to do and how to do it.
Exactly. Yes.
If we told her what to do, it's like a little
That-
kid, they wouldn't know what to do.
That is exactly what software does. It tells the computer what to do and how to do it.
Yeah.
And it specifies the time frame in which to do it. Does that make sense? So it's the rule book. Okay. Then you know, these are just a few examples. These are not everything. This is not the entire description of a computer. Okay. Going into great detail would take a little bit more time than what we already have. But these are just a few items, okay?
Isn't
So
software kind of like a
networks.
program of it?
that's,
Yeah, it
Yes,
reads
yes,
that whole
we just-
program
we
out
just-
of it.
we just mentioned that, yes, it is a program. So the software can be a program, it can be no more than just a set of small instructions, just 1 second. So software can be just a few instructions, it can be an entire program, it can be what is called a set of keys, if you will, or drivers.
I like it.
And when you, like for instance, when you install a new hardware device on a computer, the hardware device has to be recognized by the operating system, Windows, Linux, that sort of thing. without the instruction set, the operating system or the spirit does not know, it doesn't know what to do with that device. It's like, hey, it's a foreign object, what do you want me to do with it? You know, the drivers tell the system, oh, okay, I know what it is, I know how to use it. So, a driver, in a way, is, I'm not talking about the person operating the car. A driver is that instruction set or that program that tells the computer how to use that device. So, as you said, it can be a bunch of different things, but I'm sorry, what were you saying?
So, okay, the software reads that, what about the hardware? Isn't the hardware just basically more
The
that reads it reads the internal to the storage? Isn't that more where the hardware is at? That it reads that drive instead, or it keeps that storage?
Can you
Like, okay,
Can you,
say your software.
clarify your question?
Say your software, okay, it reads that, it functions like our brain, okay? Without that, we wouldn't, wouldn't read that. But the hardware, wouldn't that read more into the drive, the in storage and all that internal drive? Is that where that hardware mostly, we would find that definition?
If I'm understanding the question correctly, the hardware,
Okay, so.
the hardware executes
Yeah.
everything, it fulfills
It fulfills what.
it fulfills all of what you're asking.
Yeah, so it would, the hardware is more where you store everything and it reads that. And
It's
then
like
Yeah,
a phone.
And then
but-
the storage
right.
is more of the software, that it reads the software program, and the hardware reads more of the hardware and it stores all
Right,
that,
but,
right?
yes, that would be, if
The
I
more
understand your
definite-
question correctly,
Yeah,
yes.
the definition.
But without the software,
Yeah.
the hardware can't do anything.
That's
You need the rule book for the hardware to work. Does that answer your question? Okay, so, yes, but you're pretty much on the right track, you're correct. The hardware executes all of the demand without the instruction set, it can't do anything. Make sense?
kind of.
So next we have networks. A network is a team of devices that are interconnected or programmed together, rather, to communicate and talk to each other. So when you connect one computer to another, and then to another, and another, and another, that's a network. So if you, for instance, another way to look at it is this. If you connect to Chetty connects to Courtney. Courtney connects to Clinton.
Cool.
Clinton connects to Marie. Marie connects to Jeremy. That connection is called a network. Does that make sense?
And what type
So if you connect to each other, whether it's through your phone or through wires, that's called a network. And a network is
Okay,
an
so-
interconnected connection, or an interconnected collection of devices or communication.
that makes sense.
Communication methods, is a network. So,
It's always group chat.
to communicate and talk, so they're devices, or you could say people that are
Okay, that makes sense.
they communicate and talk to each other in order to send, transmit, and receive information within a close proximity or a further distance environment, meaning that they are physically and logically pieced or placed together. So, in computers, you can have them, just one second, Jenny. In computers, you have them either physically connected with a wire, or you have them wirelessly connected. The nice thing about wireless, however, is you don't have to have a super long cord. So if you want to, if Clinton had an office right here, but he wanted to connect to Sandra's office, which is way over there, he's not going to want to use a big long cord, is he?
No.
So
He's gonna
no.
wanna go
So
through
that's, so
internet.
he's going to want to use a wireless connection, so that that wireless connection, so his computer basically takes that connection wirelessly and connects to Sandra's. Okay? And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in this course. Because there's a lot to discuss, and it's very technical, and it's very deep. But that's kind of a basic idea. You'd have to use an address assigned to his computer, to the address of Sandra's computer. You know, it's like delivering mail. You know, without the correct address, the mail doesn't go to the right place, right? So a network helps make that happen. It helps make information to be sent to the right place. Make sense?
Point A to point B instead of point C.
Well, at some point it's gotta go to point C, but it can't do it without an address.
Yeah, but, no, say you wanted to send it to point B,
Yeah,
so you could pick it up and go to point Z instead.
yes, so if it's supposed to go to point, so, yeah, what you're sending is supposed to go to point C, but it goes to point Z instead. Isn't that a problem?
That's a big problem,
It's a big problem.
because you're sending it to the wrong person.
So what if I send a package to point Z instead of point C, that,
You would be
what,
really
then
mad.
what?
Go the wrong person, going the wrong way.
Am I gonna have some happy customers?
No.
You-
Oh,
Miles and new cookies.
mail being sent to the wrong place would make some customers very unhappy,
That's
wouldn't
what
it?
happened to one of our workers.
So that's the nice thing about networks, or the team devices. A network helps make it possible so that doesn't happen. Okay, so these are just a few examples that relate to IT, okay? So I'm sure maybe by now you might be thinking, you might have a burning question running through your mind. Is that all there is to IT or computers? Is it really that simple?
No,
Sadly, no.
Is it?
No. Maybe for you, but not for me,
it's not for me.
annually
You
speaking.
mean I can't just go to a computer, switch it on, and say, hey, voila, I'm a pro now.
No, that would be cool,
I can't
but
do
not.
that?
You can, but you'd be lying.
Yeah, but it's not a lot of respects I would be, wouldn't I?
Or you don't want it, I mean, you don't want to turn it on, it's
So,
not working, and you want to throw it
If
across
I
the
just
room.
turn it on, does that mean that I don't need to learn anything else?
No,
There's nothing more to learn, I'm sure, but.
Well, I think you're right. No, it doesn't mean that there's nothing else to learn. It just means gotta start, okay?
Yeah.
So, to answer that question, no, that's not all there is. So it's a good question, no. The answer is no. Computers are a very broad, expansive, and complex subject. IT is. There are many areas that make it complicated and challenging, as noted in the previous slide. Computers are made up of many different departments, if you will, which make them work effectively. You may have heard that there are lots of computer jobs in differing areas, and if you've heard that, you are correct. It takes more than one person to solve a computer problem, and computer problems can get really hairy. You know what I mean by really hairy? No, I'm not talking about the hairy hair. I'm not talking about the hairball you pull out of your sink, the cat flushed down there. I'm not talking about the well, I should say the hairball that your cat coughed up and left on your countertop.
Ew.
I'm talking about hair. When I say hairy, I mean problems get real difficult and really fast. For example, when I mean complicated, some of you might have heard, maybe not. A couple of years ago, Facebook went down for 1 hour. Did you hear about that? Facebook went down for 1 hour. You know how much that costed
A lot.
for 1 hour of inactivity? If I'm not mistaken, it was $1.2 million.
Just to shut down.
For 1 hour.
Shut down Facebook.
A loss, a network loss of 1 hour costed $1.2 million.
Just to shut down for an hour.
Because it crashed, it shut down.
Like the software
It
crashed
stopped
or
working,
like,
Facebook
well,
stopped
they're
working,
okay.
so they had, the servers stopped working, a server
They're in
crashed.
another suit right now.
So they had to go, technicians had to scramble to get the servers running and working in order to get Facebook back online. Otherwise, there were significant profit losses. Okay, so that's what I mean by really hairy, okay? When something like that fails, it can be extremely difficult to fix and very time consuming, not to mention expensive.
Time and money.
Okay, so if you, for instance, you had your own server at home, let's say Sheila, you have your own server at home, you got people taking care of that for you. And your business is, you're selling cars, right? You have an entire fleet that you have to be on top of. You've got an order coming to you of 350 cars that need to go to one of your dealerships. Server crashes. That fleet shows up and they have no idea where to send the cars. Isn't that a problem?
That's a huge
Yeah.
problem because
That is
it
a
doesn't,
So who's gonna go to
it
the,
doesn't fall just on you, it falls on that company
Right,
that you are
right.
representing.
so who's gonna tell that company where to send those cars?
It's gonna be you, because it's your company and you got your name stamped on it. So it falls back on you,
Right,
but
right.
it's not like,
And so
okay,
basically,
you're
we're doing
not the
this concept
professional
on
on
the
the computer,
computer,
but you're the one standing there and you're the one telling them, I'm sorry that my computer crashed,
Then you better
And
have it.
then you better have some backup to prove, I mean, to where you're gonna send it.
You know what? You brought up a very good point. That's why we have backups. Everyone has to have a backup plan. Every network technician, every IT specialist has a backup plan. They have to, because anything can go wrong. Anything can go wrong. A server crashes, a computer crashes, a wire breaks, or a fiber optic cable stops working. Did you know that a fiber optic cable is only about the size of a human hair and can transmit data speeds in gigabits?
They could take your
Like
whole life
in
and
large,
destroy it.
large chunks in seconds. And if that little tiny wire, if that snaps, you lose lots of data.
You lose everything, I
Okay.
mean, and
And that's something we can talk more about because it's very in depth. This is kind of a basic idea. So when I mentioned different jobs of every type when the jobs of different types, that's an example, a scenario that requires different jobs. You have a network specialist to get that server up and running. You have an IT specialist that's his or her job is to make sure the computers don't fail, they don't crash. Backups are put into place. These are just a few small examples of IT. So again, the question that remains is it that simple?
no.
No. Definitely not simple. It's very challenging, okay? And sometimes it can leave you with a splitting headache by the end of the day because it is a lot of work, okay? So it's not just computers at home that you have to be thinking about in terms of IT. It's the big range, the broader spectrum of computers that make up IT. Okay, so you've got big IT, then you have simple IT. This is the simple IT. You just work on your computer, you do what you need to do with it, you're using IT, okay? That's the simple part. The hardest part, you've got a really big problem to fix. I'm sorry, second question?
Oh, she had,
Yes, you had a question.
If you didn't have a computer, how would you do Zoom, like a Zoom link to somebody?
you just go on that app.
Well, if you don't have a computer, then you can always use someone else's computer. But I think maybe where you're getting at with this question is, what if there is no computer to use Zoom? Or what if Zoom just isn't working?
Trying to
So-
think what you're trying to do
the computer, if you can do on your phone if you have a smartphone, maybe.
Or
Well-
maybe you can go to resources in the community,
Yeah.
you know.
There are lots of ways to solve that problem. That's where, like I said, information technology comes into place. It's not just using computers, it's solving problems with them. Okay, so let's say Chuddy's computer isn't working right. She needs to get on Zoom. She's got a meeting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. She has to get to this meeting because her job depends on it. What does she do?
And you can get it
On her phone?
and
Her
put it on
phone's an
your-
option? Any other options?
Use somebody else's computer.
She can go
She can
to
use someone
the-
else's computer?
If you have a tablet, that's another option.
You
Yeah.
can go to the library because now they offer these free classes there.
Right.
You can go to your community, they have like free resources anywhere.
So she has a couple options, right?
Yeah.
So she can also go in person if she has to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a wide range of options. Okay. So that's a great way to troubleshoot and solve your problems. Not everybody has to have an IT specialist to solve a problem. You know, some problems at home you can fix yourself. You know, it just starts with identifying the problem, and you figure out a solution that you think will work, and then you try to use that solution, and then if all else fails, then you create a backup plan, you ask for help. Then a professional can help you solve the problem. You know, so that's a good way to segue into the next question. Can I do it? Okay, it's an inside joke. It.
Sometimes
Can I do it? What do I mean by it?
you can fix it yourself.
Information technology.
Yeah! Can I do it?
Yeah.
Can we do it?
We can try.
Yes, I'm not talking about Stephen King's It, but
But you can
can we do it?
Yeah. you-
Yes, we can. All of us can do it, or IT,
Definitely.
okay? It is like I said, it's a broad subject. Everybody can do IT. Maybe your level is about to here, or maybe it's here, or maybe it's way up there. Wherever your level is, you can still do it, okay? So yes, you can. Every time you use a computer or do something with it, to create, modify, or save it, like you mentioned, creating a document, saving it, you're doing it. IT. You're doing IT. You don't have to be a professional in some respects to know what you're doing. Sometimes all you need to do is try and then get the hang of things.
If you make
You
it,
just need to try.
if you make it document on Google Doc, you can access it on another device too.
Yeah, if you're making a Google document, you're using IT.
What if you?
Yes.
okay, Here's okay, I'm having problems with Proxy servers. So how do you go back in and troubleshoot them if you try to reboot them, but it's not working?
That's what I mean by Harry's.
Because yeah, everything I'm having is a hairy situation of proxy servers.
That's when you call it
I don't
professional to help
know.
you get through that.
And they don't know nothing about it. I'm telling
Well,
you.
then you call the right professional. You call until you find the professional that can help you fix that
Who
problem.
do you actually
Comes
know
somebody
for
that
a
knows what they're
proxy
doing.
So, you're working with a proxy server. You're learning
Yes,
how it
I'm
works.
working-
You're doing IT.
I'm doing that on my phone right now with a proxy server, that's what
But
it's.
still
Great.
not-
You're
it's
still
still
doing
something
IT.
I
You're
see.
doing it.
I don't know nothing
You're
about
doing it.
troubleshooting.
You're doing it.
I don't know troubleshooting, I don't know nothing about computers, so let's go there.
Well, you're still doing it.
Well, if you
You're
don't know
making
nothing
an
about
effort.
computers, you don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a
Well,
computer.
you don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a computer to learn how it works or to solve a problem.
We want
No.
questions, I want answers. I'm
So,
one of
yeah.
those people that I like to learn and
You're
I want to
thinking
know.
about it, so
Yes,
you're doing
I'm
it.
thinking about it, okay, I'm trying to think outside the box, but when you don't know nothing about computers, nothing
Yeah,
at
that
all.
makes sense. When you have to think outside that box, that does get tricky. Especially when that box seems pretty closed up and you're stuck inside the box like this.
Help me, I can't get out, I'm stuck.
Yes, you do. You have to think outside the box. That's the thing about IT. You learn to think outside the box. Okay? So, yes, you can do computers. Okay, so there's another question. And you just brought up a point that might raise this question. Okay? Computers are scary. Do I have to mess with them?
No. It was just someone else, I'm sorry.
Well, I guess I could throw it out the window. Does that solve the
My
problem?
guess would be smash it up, okay?
Temporarily.
I don't think destroying it like that would be helpful, Miss Sheila. But I
Miss Whitney,
miss.
you've never had.
Well, it is an option.
Like I
You could
have.
say you're doing IT for a short time till you threw out the computer and hit somebody by accident.
You haven't had 6 or 7 computers or phones, let's tell
So-
them that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, computers are scary. Do I have to mess with them? No. The answer to that question is no. You don't necessarily have to mess with them. And honestly, computers are really not as scary as you might think they are. A computer is simply just, think of it this way. It's just dumb until you tell it what to do. Computers aren't smart. People are. People make computers smart. Okay, there, you put it, remember the input output I was talking about? What you put into the computer comes out. Okay, it's called basic input output. Okay, what you put into it comes out. You can put good stuff in there and get good stuff back. You can put trash in there and get trash back. Okay, you can put cuss words in your computer. Your computer will
no,
put cuss words in.
no.
The point is, the computer is going to do what you tell it to do,
Sometimes,
most of the time.
most of the time.
And then it becomes, a lot of computers become defiant because they end up with errors and a couple of other issues. But that shouldn't scare you. Because learning how to problem solve can be a really great benefit. They can be intimidating for everyone, but the use of them is all by personal choice. Okay? They may have their quirks and they do have some benefits. Furthermore, people of all areas and backgrounds can and do use them. Okay? You see this device right here?
Yeah.
That's a computer. That computer tells her chair what to do. Without this, the chair can't do anything. Okay?
Would have to do it herself.
So this is a computer. Okay? The recording of this session is done by a device that works like a computer. Okay?
Just like everything that we're doing.
Like I said, the cell phone is a computer. Heck, this big hunker of a TV is a computer. Because it has to take information and process it so it can display it to you. And so computers do more than make life easier. And there really isn't anything scary about them, except for when they just don't work. They are used in just about every piece of technology today, including in communication devices, mobility devices, transportation, even in your car engine. Did you know your car had a computer?
Yeah.
Back
Yeah.
then it didn't.
Your car has a computer.
If
Because
you don't have it,
Your
start your car.
diagnostic, every car today, most cars today have what's called a diagnostic system. They also have a digital OBD system, or onboard dash system, okay, that tells the computer what you're doing, how you're operating the car, it tells the car how to perform a function, okay? So yes, cars use computers. While messing with them is not a requirement, it is important to note that they exist in various areas and capacities and that you are using them whether you know it or not. And every single person on the planet uses a computer. You know why that is?
Because
They're using their brain.
we're all too lazy.
Their brain's a computer. Okay, your brain has to take information and process it. So yes, whether you know it or not, you are using a computer. Your computer is keeping you alive. So keep it healthy. Okay?
No, your bodies are keeping you healthy.
That too.
Oh, your body can't keep you healthy without your brain working. So your brain's got to do something to tell your body what to do. It needs a set of instructions. Who uses computer and how are they used? Well, let's see some examples. A few of you note at the beginning of this class, a few of you noted some examples that were very worth noting, and they were spot on. Businesses. Businesses use them for selling products, services, names, data storage, databases, business models, or anything that helps the business to thrive. Schools. Schools use computers for just about everything, including keeping track of grades, student attendance, and very important files. landfill uses a computer. Really? The place where you put your trash uses a computer?
Cause they're
Yeah,
gonna dialogue
it
everything
does.
that comes in, I'm sorry.
Yes, they have to have a computer to weigh all the trash. They have to have a computer to monitor what kind of trash is doing a job. For instance, some landfills use the methane buildup from the trash underneath the ground to create energy, which creates power. Did you know that? Landfills use the methane and they burn it to power and create thermal energy so that you have power. And they have to have a computer to identify the levels of power that they have. Okay? These landfills use computers to calculate how much product or waste that needs to be measured, used, buried, or disposed of in various areas based on weight. You know, sewers and water treatment plants. Yeah, that's a great place to use a computer.
Oh, gosh.
Treatment plants use computers to mathematically determine how many processes have to be conducted to ensure water purification and how it meets a standard of accessibility for human use. So they have to use computers in order to purify water. If they don't get that purification right, what could happen?
They could be in trouble.
Well, they'd be more than just in trouble. You'd be in trouble because you could get water poisoning. You could get sick.
You could get E. coli.
You could get seriously ill if the water isn't purified correctly. So computers measure that purification process. Industrial plants. These used for computers for manufacturing, such as pipe construction for culverts or irrigation. Sheet metal manufacturing is another. Products like pipe and metal have to be sized out and weighed to determine what works best, wherever it is going for or how it will be used. Computers help workers get things just right so that nothing goes wrong down the road. So it's absolutely important that they pay attention to how the process is complete. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Computers have to keep a monitor of what's going on. Okay? Great. Now what? Are we done?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just listening to me. You're just listening to me babble for an hour. Are we done?
No,
Now that you've learned a little bit about the purpose and usefulness of computers, it is time to dive a little deeper about what they really do and where they really came from. But that is for lesson 2. In the next lesson, we will talk about the history of computers. We'll talk about where they came from, who developed them, how they developed them. Some of the brand names that you're familiar with today will tell you a little bit about who came up with them, how they were created. You know, the history that made them what they are. So, as a recap, in this lesson, we briefly looked at what the computer is, how it is used. We also determined that it can be used by everyone. We talked a little bit about IT. We talked about the different spectrums of IT. And we also made it clear that not just a select few people can use computers, but everybody can. This lesson was designed to be a brief discussion, introduction to computers. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I look forward to teaching you about the history of computers in our next lesson. Any questions?
thank you.
The next lesson will be we will have the next lesson next month.
Yeah, the first
The
Wednesday of the
date
month.
will be determined, and we will talk about the history of computers. And I hope you will enjoy that as much as I'll enjoy putting it together.
Just quick announcement, the next lesson